The Liberty, they've bounced back after their Commissioner's Cup game loss on Tuesday. They knocked off the Dream at the Barclays Center on Sunday, 81-75. Let's talk about it with a women's basketball writer and analyst for CBS Sports. The great Erica Ayala joins me now. Erica, how is it going?
It's going well. I mean, we've got so much basketball on a Sunday, so I'm pretty happy.
Look, I'm always happy when there's basketball on. Doesn't matter. I am here for it. Glad to have basketball in the summer, especially with the W. And Erica, this game on Sunday was a game where the Liberty, who you and I know, they're usually strong, winning the first and fourth quarters in many games this season, but they found themselves down double digits after the first quarter. How was New York able to battle back in this game? And was it nice for you to see them have a real positive point differential in the second and third quarters against Atlanta?
Yeah, this was an Atlanta team, I'll talk about them first, that knew they had to come in and focus on some things that are in their capability, within their wheelhouse, that they just haven't been able to do. And a part of that is their defense, while also using their pace, or by being able to get up in good pace and use their speed. And I think that's exactly what Atlanta did. And New York didn't adjust right away. And that's how we saw Atlanta be able to swell their lead. But what New York did effectively is that they controlled the ball very well. We know that they had a season high turnovers against the Minnesota Lynx. I believe it was 21 turnovers in that Commissioner's Cup championship game. And they had a season low of 7 against Atlanta. And when you can be able to control the basketball, you are able to take a lot away from your opponent, especially those fast break points. And so I think also the New York Liberty, they weren't knocking down shots, particularly Sabrina Ionescu, who's been fantastic for them this season. And so once she got into a flow, was able to figure out either how to get to the paint and kick out, or to find her own shot, things got a lot better for New York.
Yeah, it definitely did. And you talked about those 21 turnovers in the Commissioner's Cup game against the Lynx. It led to 27 points. Anytime you can take care of the ball, that helps a lot, and they were able to find their shot later in this one. Despite the win, though, Erica, it was another struggle game offensively for Jonquel Jones. 5 points on 5 shots for JJ on Sunday after she had 3 points on 3 shots in the Commissioner's Cup game last week. What are you seeing that's contributing to JJ's struggles at this time?
We know that Jonquel Jones was undisputably the most valuable player for the New York Liberty right around this time last year, or I should say certainly beyond the All-Star break, on the other side of the All-Star break and throughout the playoffs for the Liberty. And I think what you're seeing early in this season is that Jonquel Jones, even though she was able to get some of those touches early on, defenses are starting to focus on her. They're bringing the double team. And what Jonquel Jones is able to do, we know, is to also facilitate. So I think there has to be a balance between Jonquel Jones getting touches, because you absolutely still want to get her the ball. And even said on the Gotta Get Up podcast this past week, you probably want to get her the ball early in the shot clock. And the reason that you do that is because if Jonquel Jones does have space and time, if she can find her way to the basket, then there's no harm done. But in the event that she cannot, because she's double teamed, triple teamed, whatever the case is, then she can, because she is the tallest player on the team and is gravitating the defense, they're going to collapse on her, she can find the open player. And so I think Jonquel Jones just needs to give herself a little grace if the shot or the shot options aren't there, while also still finding ways where she can positively impact the New York Liberty offensively. And I do think that means facilitating from the block while also being able to rebound and getting second chance opportunities for the New York Liberty.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see going forward as she sees these double teams. Erica, is she able to make quicker decisions with the basketball, as you are mentioning? Now, I wanted to ask you about this because head coach Sandy Brondello, she's had to manage minutes as both Courtney Vandersloot and Benijah Laney Hamilton. They've returned to the lineup. Now, against the Dream, we saw a closing 5 of Sabrina Ionescu, Leonie Fibich, Laney Hamilton, Breanna Stewart, and Jonquel Jones. Is that the lineup that we saw? Is that the best closing lineup for New York going forward?
It honestly might be. And I think there are a few things in play here. And one of them, of course, is that Vandersloot coming off of an extended absence while she was with her family and just recently lost her mother. So I can speak from personal experience. There's no timeline for that return. And even though you might be back, it takes a little bit of time to get back. So I don't want to speak for Courtney Vandersloot, but it's completely understandable that, for example, today was her first start returning to the lineup while being away with family. That being said, Leo has been really great and was particularly good for the New York Liberty this afternoon. I talked about turnovers being a little bit of a bugaboo, the Achilles heel of the New York Liberty this year. I will say that they did a great job turning Atlanta over, and a lot of that was Leo just being really gritty on defense, even when Atlanta was inbounding the ball. And so that's the kind of energy that you want to see, especially coming off of the bench for the New York Liberty. But if Leo can really get those minutes and get significant minutes so that New York continues to be good at closing out games, whether they started well, whether they've kept that consistency or not, we do know that the New York Liberty, even if we just look at the finals, they have to be able to close out games. And so right now, yeah, I do like that lineup. We know that a part of the reason that Fibich is even on the team is to give the New York Liberty some length. I think we saw that on her with her defensive efforts that then turned into offense. She's creating offense off of her defense for herself, and of course that benefits the New York Liberty.
Absolutely, and it seems like the Liberty, we've watched it this season, their closing lineups when they add a little bit more size, whether it's Leo, whether it's Kayla Thornton, seems like those lineups have been a little bit better in terms of them defensively and being able to close out games. So we'll see what they do going forward. Last thing for me, Erica, next up for the Liberty, on Tuesday night, we got a rematch with the Lynx. That's 7 days since they would have fallen to Minnesota in the Commissioner's Cup championship game. The Liberty, they've lost twice to the Lynx this season. How important is Tuesday's matchup, and what does New York have to do here to get a win and perform better than they did a week ago?
This is going to be a huge matchup for the New York Liberty. We know they're sitting at the top of the table, one of the best records that they've had coming out the gate ahead of, as I mentioned earlier, the All-Star break. And so while the team is in good position in the standings, we've talked about it. There are definitely things that they need to refine. And the team that has been best at being able to benefit from the mistakes or some of the lapses that New York had this season has been the Minnesota Lynx. So this is a critical game. I'm really looking, honestly, what Sandy Brondello and the coaching staff are going to do regarding adjustments. I've already mentioned that I want to see them get Jonquel Jones the ball early in the shot clock. Whether she's able to get her shot or whether she's able to facilitate, we can expect and assume that the Minnesota Lynx are going to defend Jonquel Jones heavily and hard, and they have the length and the size to be able to do that. So if I were the New York Liberty, I would definitely still try to facilitate to Jonquel. You want to at least make the attempt to get the ball to her, because then the defense, especially if the Lynx defense is successful, they're going to keep doing that. So then what does that do? In theory, right, it opens other things up. We saw it this afternoon, Benijah Laney-Hamilton. She had a great conversation with the broadcast team, and she talked about also with LaChina Robinson, how she's been practicing that corner shot because she knows she's about the third, sometimes fourth option in the rotation on offense. And if the ball gets to her, she's likely going to be knocking it down in the corner, and she wants to be ready. So that's on the offensive side. The other thing offensively that you absolutely have to see the New York Liberty do is do what they did tonight and protect the basketball. A lot of the mistakes that they were making were because they were turning the ball over. Bad passes, errant passes, shot clock violations, things of that nature. If they can minimize that, get Jonquel Jones active in the offense, even if that means she's a little bit of a decoy, find the open player, such as Kayla Thornton, who had a great game against the Minnesota Lynx. Benijah Laney-Hamilton had a great game against Atlanta. And then the other winning recipe for the New York Liberty, not just against the Lynx, but quite honestly, all this season, is Sabrina Ionescu being able to go strong to the basket. Of course, we know she wants to shoot her outside perimeter shot, but what has opened up, again, the offense for herself and everybody else, including Stewie, who we haven't even talked about, who's been great defensively, is Sabrina Ionescu, going hard to the basket. I don't want her complaining about fouls. She's been really good at not doing that this year, just putting her head down, driving hard to the basket, and either getting herself, her teammates, or the New York Liberty another offensive option because she's dishing, she's making the shot, or she's getting to the foul line. That's how New York can show that they're ready and willing to make the adjustments to be at the top of the standings when the regular season is done.
I agree, Erica. It's going to be interesting, especially coming after what we saw in the Commissioner's Cup championship game last Tuesday. Liberty have to make those adjustments. They got to take care of the ball. We'll see if they are able to do that on Tuesday. But Liberty, they are now 16-3 on the season. As you heard Erica say, they're in a really good position at the top of the standings right now. That is Erica Ayala, women's basketball writer and analyst for CBS Sports. Check out her work. Erica, always good talking some hoops with you, especially when we have a good bunch of them on a Sunday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.